Welcome to today's Search Engine Journal webinar. Hope you're having a great day and we're thrilled to have you here with us. I'm joined by Carlos Meza of Crowd Content. And Carlos was unfortunately in some air conditioning all day yesterday and left his voice a little bit dry. So if needed, he's going to be joined by Nizam, who's going to help get through the deck if needed. All right, today we are going to be talking about a few new SEO strategies that are going to help you create content that helps you rank higher while still meeting the needs of your site visitors and your own goals. So whoever you're talking to, you want to make sure that you're speaking their language while still, meeting the objectives that you have set for your company. So today, Carlos is going to help you adapt to all of these search changes and scale your content strategies. So let's get to it. My name's Heather. I'll be your moderator today. Please use hashtag SEJwebinars to share any cool tidbits from today's learnings on social. And let's meet our guest, Carlos. Excited to have you here with us. Tell us a little bit about you and Crowd Content.
Thank you, Heather. Very honored to be in this great stage. You Search Engine Journal is such an authority in SEO and so many things. So I'm really very fortunate to have the opportunity to speak to your audience. So I'm the CEO of Crowd Content. We are a content writing platform, have been around for over a decade. We have over 6,000 freelance writers that are all focused in creating high quality content. So I'm very passionate about SEO, very passionate about high quality content. So that's something I want to share about today.
Awesome. We'll get to it here in a quick minute. We'll just give you guys some housekeeping tips, and then we'll let Carlos share these tidbits with you. So first, if you experience any technical difficulties, use the chat box to let us know. There are separate tabs for the questions and the chat, so just take a second to get familiar with those. They're in the top right of your screen. If you see a question that somebody asked that's something that you would like to hear about too, you can give that a little thumbs up, and that upvote just lets us know that it's important to you all out there. And we'll answer as many as we can at the end of the presentation. Carlos's voice, hoping to hold out for that long. And so there's also a closed captioning option. It's the little CC in the top right corner. And we'll do our best to link to any resources or tools in the chat. But if we miss one, just know that it'll be in your email that you'll receive later this afternoon that has the presentation and the recording of today's webinar. After the webinar, if you can stick around for a short survey, it just takes a minute and it helps us, kind of get that information to know if these are working for you or how we can make them just a little bit better. And lastly, you will receive today's full recording, like I mentioned, so watch your inbox for that. And that's enough from me. I'm going to get out of here. Carlos, it's all yours. I'll be back at the Q&A.
Well, thank you, Heather. And thank you, everybody, for joining me today in this webinar. We're going to talk about clickbait, but that's that picture of me. That's when I had hair and didn't have so much facial hair. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about written content, just to be very specific. This is our focus for today. High quality written content, of course, blog posts, white papers, email newsletters, etc., etc. So just want to make sure that I give you context. That is going to be our focus for today. And quickly, our agenda. I'm going to give you a little bit of history or of a little bit of background about what has changed over the years around the algorithms. And then we're going to talk about, our topic today, 3 steps to perfect SEO content creation, people first content, topic clustering, subject matter experts. And I'm going to give you some takeaways. And we're going to talk about a checklist that we're going to send you after the webinar so you can use it to create high quality content. Okay, but I want to start with, some examples of the kind of things that we see in our line of work. Sometimes our clients come to us for us to upgrade their content or to evaluate their content and help them to make that content better. And we didn't touch this content, but just wanted to share it with you. Inc.com. In just 3 words, Elon Musk explained how you can be expert at anything, even rocket science. Oh my God, this is an amazing article. Let's see what he has to say. I'm sure I'm going to be so much smarter after that. And at the end of the article, or the message of the article, I read books. I'm like, really, Inc? Is that what you had to say to me about how to become an expert or anything? So total clickbait title. That's not what we're talking about here. This, at least in my opinion, not high quality content. It's just the content doesn't fulfill the promise. Here's another extreme example, almost, satire or something ironic. Keyword stuffing is bad for SEO. Why is keyword stuffing bad for SEO? Because search engines are too smart to fall for keyword stuffing. So I guess you get my point. This is another example of what used to work maybe many years ago, but of course we want to get away from that. Here's another example. Came to us, a client wanted to talk about builder's risk insurance. Then you see this lots of content, many words at the beginning of the piece. They talk about how construction is so important for the city, for the industry, all these things, absolutely irrelevant. I came here because I wanted to know about builder's risk insurance. It took me 205 words to maybe understand what builder's insurance is, and I think they didn't even convey the message. And this is this made me laugh and almost cry as well. This is about shower installs, and taking a shower literally washes away your stress and worries. And showers are also a great convenience. After all, who has the time to bathe every morning? Like, I know so many questions come after reading this. This is just poor content. You know what? I almost want I feel like my eyes are gonna bleed. So I just wanted to capture your attention and make you go through some of the horror stories that we go through in our shop when we look at some of these content pieces. So this is all examples of what not to do, what low quality content is. So now that you have your attention, let's talk about what has changed over the years. So search engines are just getting better at understanding how humans talk, how humans communicate, right? So of course, many years ago, it was keyword stuffing. Those techniques would work because search engines weren't as smart as they are today. Now, of course, Google has very advanced technology, and all of the other search engines have very advanced technology. They're using AI, they're using NLP, natural language processing, to understand what is that we're really looking for. Sometimes we cannot even communicate what we're really looking for, but now the search engines are so smart that they actually know what we're looking for before we even are able to articulate it in the share box. So this to say, there are many updates over the last few years, and up to 2022, look, everything is driving to the same place: quality content. They even said it in the name of the algorithm update, helpful content update. So now they're becoming so obvious, like, okay, people, you're not getting it, so we're now made the name of the algorithm so obvious that hopefully we get it. So over the last year, 6 out of 7 algorithm updates have been targeted towards content. So there were 3 product reviews updates. There was 2 core updates. There was the helpful content update. So all of them targeted towards content. So I think Google's being very clear with their message. So what do we do? Right for humans, right? Well, like that. And I'm sorry to state the obvious, but even though Google has been saying that for many years, people out there still don't get it. We still come across those horrible content pieces, right? People are still writing for keywords. People are still writing for word count. So I just have to repeat myself, and I'm sorry that I'm saying something that probably you have heard many times, but this is what Google keeps telling us. And again, like even the name of the most recent algorithm update says helpful content. Just please create helpful content. So what is quality content? And we always get the question, what is quality content? So let's look at what Google says, right? Because everything that we're trying to do around content is trying to follow some of Google guidelines. So if you're writing information pages, they have to be factually accurate. So you cannot make your own facts. You can make your own opinions, but not your own facts. So facts are very important if you're providing information, and they have to be comprehensive. What that means is, let's say if you're writing about a very big topic, World War II, you cannot just write a couple paragraphs about that. It has to be comprehensive, right? If that's the intent, or if that's the topic that you're trying to cover. Now, if you're talking about shopping content, it needs to be a piece of content that makes it easier for the users to find the products, right? It's going to make it easy for them to purchase. And even if you're talking about humor, satire, has to be entertaining, but it needs to be very clear that is satire, that is irony, that is, that is humor. So these are, and we took this from Google search quality guidelines, right? So I'm not making this up. I'm just trying to kind of reinforce the message that Google has been telling us all along. So again, what doesn't work anymore? Of course, clickbait title, but no relevant content. The example I provided with Elon Musk, 3 famous words to become an expert, read books. Or an unsatisfying amount of main content for the purpose of the page. So again, like the example about World War II, but very little with a couple paragraphs is not going to cut it. Now, fake expertise or a profile that is not from a real expert, but it's just made up. That's a big no-no. Keyword stuffing, we don't need to talk about that anymore. I think you all got the message. And really just trying to create content for the algorithm. You need to create content for humans, because the humans are the ones that that Google is trying. Their mission is to organize the world's information, and it's meant to serve the humans and the people that are doing making the search queries. I think we got too technical with SEO at some point, and we lost our way, and we forgot that the content we're trying to produce have to serve a purpose for the other person, the other side of the content. So what should we do? So now I'm going to get into 3 things that we think are going to help you produce high quality content. First, empathetic people first content. And when we talk about empathetic or people first content, it's just not a feel good statement. It's just the way, or it's got to be your philosophy for creating content. Again, thinking about the human at the other side. You want to make sure if you were in the shoes of the searcher, how would you feel after reading that piece of content? So that's really that philosophy. But let's get a little bit more in detail. What do we mean by that? So this is Google's guidance on people first content. So you have to be authoritative in your industry. So to be authoritative, you have to have expertise, right? You have to demonstrate firsthand expertise. Have you tried the product? Have you tested? Have you traveled to the sites that you're talking about that people should travel to? Do you have depth of knowledge? So do you really know, and do you master the topic that you're talking about? Does your site have a primary purpose or focus? And what we mean by that is that you cannot be talking about disparate topics, or you could, but then that's not going to help you to be authoritative, right? So you can be talking about golf and maybe health in the same site, but then that's going to be confusing for your user. So if you want to be an authority in the topic of golf, then maybe your site should be focused on the topic of golf. In the same token, it could be focused on the topic of health. And this is very important. Like, again, helpful content, right? So create content is going to help the searcher find solutions to problems, right? Today we have a problem, we want to know about something. We go to Google, we go to the search engines and just ask how to do this, how to do that. And then we want to find content that is going to help us solve that question. It's going to help us solve the problem. And at the end of the day, you need to satisfy the intent of the visitor. We're going to talk a little bit about intent next. But again, this is coming from Google. Be authoritative source of information in your industry, demonstrate first-hand expertise, have a very specific focus, and just help the searcher solve their problems. So then, how to win up people first content? So let's start with intent. We talk about satisfying the searcher's intent, right? So, and this is the key word here is why. So the intent is the why behind the search query. We have informational intent. So here, most of blogs fall here in the informational intent side. All your how-to guides, navigational intent, very basic, and we don't need to dig too deep there. But it's just pretty much, I know I want to go to search engine journal site. I'm just going to go and type it in the SERP because I'm lazy and I don't want to go and type the whole URL. Transactional intent is when the searcher has made a decision of purchasing a product or making a transaction, already knows what it is, but doesn't know where to buy it. So for instance, I want to buy myself some Nike shoes. So I'm going to type where to buy Nike Jordans. and then the SERP is gonna tell me some suggestions of where to buy. And then commercial, this is interesting as well, because somebody wants to make a purchase decision or wants to make a transactional decision, but doesn't know exactly what to buy. So for instance, I might write a blog about the best electric cars in 2022. That would be an example of a commercial intent. So I'm going to search for, okay, what are the best car commercial electric cars for 2022? That would be the intent behind my query would be commercial. So now that we understand intent and we understand the why, we're going to focus again on the who and the why. So not only the why, what is intent, but also the who. So if you focus on the who, you're writing for your audience, right? And you focus on the why, means why should they care about what you have to say? If you focus on the what, is writing for keywords. And I give you an example just to make it more meaningful. So if we speak to emotions, if we're talking about the what, and in our service or in our shop, we would say we're the #1 content writing service, right? But because we want to speak to emotions, we want to speak to the why, we would say never worry about writing again. So that's an example, focusing on the why and focusing on the intent. Somebody might be writing, might be searching on how to solve his writing problems. So they would search, how to write better blogs, right? Instead of what is the #1 content writing service. So I hope that illustrates my point there. But again, I want to make even a more dramatic example about speaking to emotions. All of us have been probably very become familiarized with Nike's amazing advertising. So I want to run you through this ad. One day we will need this. We won't need a day to celebrate how far we have come, to prove we're just as fast or stronger at skill, to relive the comebacks, the first, or the titles we have won, to rally behind the ones fighting to change the rules, because one day, this day, will be your everyday. So amazing campaign. And the point that I'm trying to make here, it speaks to our emotions. At no point Nike said, we have the best shoes, the best designs, the best materials, make you run faster, anything. They're just making us connect to these heroes, to this community, to minorities, racial minorities, LGBTQ. But we all know it's about Nike. So they're appealing to our sense of belonging, to our sense of empowerment. And that makes content really, really powerful. So it's speaking to the emotions, not just about the features, right? Like what I was saying, like, design or materials or, the fastest shoes to run, but about the emotions that those things elicit on us as human beings. So besides speaking to emotions, you want to also personalize your content, right? You want your content to be persona-based. And what we mean by that, it has to cater to the person at the other side. I give you an example. We work with agencies, we work with large brands, we work with publishers. And here is our agency persona. We have a specific landing page for agencies, right? Here in the title, services to supplement your agency. We talk about unlimited clients, flexible plans, separate billing. And we also have social proof, so we put the names of other agencies. So we know that the person that's searching for this service, is going to find the answer to their problems, right? Like best writing service for agencies, or how to augment your agency copywriting force. Then they're going to find this content very specific to their needs. Next step. Storytelling. A great way to convey a message is to creating a story. Creating a story helps us empathize with the reader, or helps the reader empathize with the message. And it's now being proven that when you create a emotional connection with somebody, you actually generate oxytocin. So now you're eliciting all these emotions, and by creating a story, it's easier to convey a message. Humans understand message that have a narrative. It's easier to understand a message if it has a narrative to it. So this Johnson & Johnson example is really amazing. They use personal stories from the researchers to make it interesting and to make that that personal connection. So storytelling is an amazing skill to develop when you are trying to create high quality content. Now, another big part about creating quality content is readability and UX. So if you're going to create good content, it has to be easier to follow, easier to read. So this is a great example. If you see, they give you the answer at the beginning, and very short paragraphs, easier to follow, lots of graphs. So, and also now it has to be easy to follow in our cell phones. I think up to 80% of the content that we're consuming is on our mobile devices. So make sure, please, that your content is easier to read and is also easy to follow in your mobile phone. So in this section, what I want to leave you with is human respond to narratives, stories, brands, and emotions. So the same way search engines and the algorithms are trying to do that, just to behave as humans would behave, to understand how humans talk. So that's the message of this section. Write for humans, talk to emotions, use storytelling, personalize your content and make it easier to read. So again, the same old answer from Google. They haven't changed their narrative. If you want to protect yourself against a broad change, against an algorithm update, just create good content. Just create good quality content. Okay, enough of that. So let's talk about our second tactic. So this is a technique. This is a tactic that after you create, do you know how to create great empathetic people first content? You can use it in topic clustering. So this is a great visual of what topic clustering is. So here, my topic cluster would be meal or dinner, let's say. And within meal or dinner, my subtopics would be fruits, vegetable, grain, protein, and dairy. And I could have even subtopics within vegetables, right? I could have broccoli, I could have cucumbers, etc. I think you get the idea. So when you want to think about a topic cluster, you can think, about this visual, and helps you understand what a topic cluster is. Why topics are not keywords. So there are many reasons. Again, writing for keywords is all techniques. It shouldn't be used anymore. Doesn't mean that keywords don't work anymore. I mean that now keywords should be within the topic cluster. So it's great for future proofing your SEO, meaning you could write about topics that your competitors might write in the future. It's a more scalable strategy, in our opinion. It's great for internal linking. So it's gonna make your site stronger. It will also attract backlinks outside from your site. It's gonna increase web engagement because by you creating a bigger topic or a topic cluster, you're not trying to answer only one question, but all the questions around that topic, which means that your visitors are going to stay longer in the site. And by staying longer in the site, you're going to increase your conversion. So here's another example. Wine basics. So this is all about wine. So the topic cluster is wine, of course. And then you can talk about subtopics. You can talk about the different types of wines, different types of grapes, different types of regions where wine is from, a guide for wine beginners. So just by taking this big topic cluster, you can create so many different subtopics and so many other pieces of content. So here is probably another example that is more relatable to a lot of us here in the audience. So our pillar is SEO, and then we can have clusters within our pillar. So we can talk about technical SEO, and we can go down that rabbit hole and talk about Google algorithms and tools and Google Analytics, et cetera, et cetera. And then what is important also in this visual is you can see all the links amongst the different topics, which is also very important within a topic cluster strategy. So I want to leave you with a couple examples how to start with topic clusters. So you can go to SEMrush, very popular tool. Let's say this example here is about gardening tools. So you find your pillar topic or or your topic cluster idea is like about garden tools, and you can write about power tools, hand tools, high quality, gardening carts, gardening gloves, garden hose, etc., etc. So here's another example, the same, very similar with BooSumo. We can talk about, okay, my topic is pay-per-click. All right, then within pay-per-click, I can talk about pay-per-click marketing. What is the relationship between SEO and PPC marketing, search engine marketing, online advertising? I think you all get the idea. So BooSumo, SEMrush, they have very good tools to start with your topic cluster strategy. So how do you know if you chose the correct clusters? Of course, you're going to see an increase in traffic and conversion, very obvious. You will have the ability to produce more content because you have a bigger pool of ideas. Also, you will see that your competitors are going to start producing content around the same clusters, and the time on site improves. So your visitors will come to your site and they'll stay longer because they'll have other topics to go around, because they want to have all the answers in one site. And that's what you're providing with a topic cluster, all the answers in one site. All right, so third and last topic, subject matter experts, or what is called SMEs. Just need some refreshment in my voice. I think I'm gonna be able to get through. Okay, so what is a subject matter expert? Of course, it's somebody that has a specialized knowledge in a particular industry or field of study. Very basic, but I'll give you examples. So, for instance, if your content is around healthcare, of course, you want a healthcare practitioner. You want a doctor, an MD. You want a registered nurse, somebody that has experience, that is credible, and they can show a track record in the healthcare industry. If you're talking about commercial construction or creating content for commercial construction, you might want an engineer. You're talking about home services. Let's say you're writing about plumbing. You want a plumber. If you're writing about electricians, you might want to have an electrician, right? Or at least to vet the content. Same for different topics. So I guess I hope you get the idea of what a subject matter expert would be. So why do you want to have subject matter experts or SMEs? Of course, you want to improve your EAT score, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So sometimes I assume that is a very well-known acronym, but it's good to remind everybody what EAT goes for. And if you have your money, your life content, which is mostly health and finance, and of course a number of subtopics under those two, you must have a subject matter expert. Otherwise, your content is not going to be seen as authoritative. Also, it can give you a competitive advantage because your competitors might be writing about the same without having experts helping with the content. So if you have content that is proven to have a higher degree of expertise, you're going to be ahead of your competitors. You're also going to build trust with your audience, and your audience is going to come back. Also gives you an opportunity to create very unique content because you have very unique experts. And by having all these great content with great expertise, you're going to have more backlink opportunities. So one of the things that we get all the time, or the questions that we get all the time from clients, or the ask that we get all the time from clients is, I want a doctor that is going to write my blog, or I want a lawyer that's going to write my blog, or how do I find a lawyer to write my blog about tax law or whatever? And the answer that we give them is, well, you can't, or it's going to be extremely expensive, prohibitive, or the content is not going to be that great. And why I say that? Somebody that went to medical school for 12 years and is probably making thousands of dollars an hour, it's not gonna write articles for a cent on the word, right? Or if they do it, who knows if they're gonna be a good writer? Being an expert doesn't make him a writer, and vice versa. Being a good writer doesn't make an expert. So what we figured out over the years is you start with a really good writer, then you add an SME layer. The SME, the subject matter expert, is going to provide feedback to the writer, is going to provide input, is going to provide the expertise, and it's going to help them fact check what they're writing. and then you send it to a good editor to make it a really good piece. So let's stop trying to get doctors to write. Maybe we can find some. We actually have some in our network, but we know that the scalable way to do this is to find these experts to vet the content and collaborate with a really good copywriter to create a great piece. So I hope this is helpful in how to create expert content. Now we talk about 3 topics, but I also want to touch on AI generating content, because of course we're talking about human first content, high quality content, and the answer, the question always asked: how about AI content? Like, is that going to be penalized by Google? What about that? Is AI content equal low quality content? Or can Google detect AI content? Like, I don't think it matters whether they can detect it or not. What matters is how you use the AI tools. And I think it depends whether AI content is good or bad. It depends how you use it. And I think we need to bust the myth that people are just going to come in, put a topic, and push a button, and then a great blog is going to come on the other end. I think we're not there yet, and I think that's not quality content, because what the AI tool is doing is just scrapping the web and just taking some pieces here and there and creating a piece of content. But I think there's some use cases for AI. Really, the AI is a tool to help writers be more productive. They can be faster. Maybe they can overcome writer's block. They can create an outline. It's just really, we see it as a tool that can amplify their abilities, right? It can be AI aided writing, but we don't believe that AI is still going to replace 100% what a writer can do. There might be use cases for very short content forms, but yet I don't think it's going to replace high quality content. So our advice on AI, is it bad or good for SEO? Just be careful, right? You don't want to use it to replace 100% your writers. You don't want to use it to to just produce a piece by the push of a button and then polish it, right? So you want it to help your team, your writers, to be faster. You can use it to create content briefs. It's great for that. So yeah, just be careful when using it, but don't demonize it. I think there's very useful cases for it. So proceed with caution. So takeaways. Again, human first content. Focus on the user. Focus on how can you help them. Are they going to be better off when they walk away from your content? Is there anything for them to take away with the content that you put out there? 2, use topic clusters to answer not only one question, but all the questions that the searcher might have, and also help you keep them on your side and engage with your content. And 3rd, use SMEs to gain authoritativeness, increase your EAT score, gain a competitive advantage against your competitors, and just upgrade your content in general. We're going to send you all a checklist on how to create human first content after the webinar. And that was it for me. I'm very, very happy that I was able to make it all the way without losing my voice. So thank you for bearing with me, and I apologize for my my low quality voice, but I'm glad that we were able to make it happen all the way through.
Agreed. And that was some great content. So I'm glad that you were able to make it through, Carlos. Thank you. We'll do like 10 minutes of Q&A because we got a few of them, and anything we'll send it over to you all and you can follow up afterwards. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to the right screen. That would be helpful. Okay. So Bree asks, what is the threshold between keyword stuffing and being optimized? Is there a magic rule for how often to use the main keyword and related keywords in like a 2,000 word page? Or should the main keyword be in the headers and the body be the same in the same section?
Okay. Like a rule of thumb on threshold, how much is keyword stuffing? Is that I just want to make sure I understood.
Oh, sorry. It's kind of, so what is the threshold between keyword stuffing and being optimized is the key question here.
I don't think there's a rule of thumb. The reality, there's nothing that can say you should use 20% keyword stuffing or 30%. Like, I think you have to use judgment and common sense. You know, I put the example about keyword stuffing, like that was an extreme example, but it has to read naturally. Read the piece and say, would you talk that way? If you were talking to somebody about that topic, would you talk in that manner? Would you repeat those words that many ways? And again, sometimes keywords, they're not now matching exactly, right? It's just about contextual. So stop worrying so much about keyword matching, but it's more about the keyword cluster, right? So I'm sorry, but there's no hard rule that can say. I think my rule of thumb would be read the content and ask yourself, would I talk to somebody in this way, and would I use these words so many times?
Kathleen asks, can you talk about how these new quality content updates have the effect of leveling the playing field for small businesses or solo business owners, maybe those who don't have the budget to hire an SEO expert or consultant to massage their content?
Great question. What I would say is this algorithm, I'll raise in the bar for everybody. And of course, people with bigger budgets will have the opportunity to create higher quality content. Now, if I have a small budget, I would rather focus in a narrower niche and go really deep on that than try to cover everything, right? Because you're not going to be able to compete on volume and even maybe the type of experts that you can get. But you could become very specialized in one area, right? So unfortunately, it's not going to make it easier for anybody. Budgets are just going to have to increase all across. But what I would say to people in a shoestring budget, make sure that the little you produce is very high quality. It's better to go deep high quality than try to go very broad with lower quality. You're going to get a better bang for your buck going much better quality, even if it is a smaller volume.
Okay. So May was asking, if you're a marketing content creator who needs to create content about different topics that you have no expertise in, how can you build EAT from that?
Yeah. And what I'd say is, well, there is a couple of ways, but one is the long game. It's like going to the gym. Like you cannot become fit by going to the gym overnight. So you got to start doing your reps, meaning you got to start putting the content up there, distributing it. The moment that content start getting traction, you start becoming an authority, right? Because people start backlinking to you, people start citing your content. So you got to start from scratch and creating really good quality pieces. The other way would be if you can find a good SME or a good subject matter expert that already has a little bit of a track record or some track record, and then you can get it to write or collaborate with you for your piece of content, then that could be the other way. Or maybe you can try, you definitely want to try both anyway, right? Even the expert might take also a long time, because depend not only on the expert, but all other things around your site, your backlink strategy, your SEO strategy in general, all that stuff. But if you want to kind of do it faster, you can just find your own expert or just create your own expertise. But creating your own expertise is going to take time, right? Because you cannot become an expert overnight.
Right. Okay, so let's see. Anna's asking, which type of intent keywords should be priority to drive quality traffic? So how can you help give priority to the different keywords?
How do you give priority to the different keywords? I'm not if I understand the question. So what is it?
Which
What
type
keyword?
of intent keywords should be priority for driving quality traffic?
Hmm. Well, it very depends on what your topic is, but it's informational.
Right. So it
Mm.
depends on their goals. So I would say that one depends. Um, okay. So London is asking, I was thinking, this is a good one. So what is the best way to start the keyword research? So if they're just getting started.
Well, you need a seed, right? A keyword seed. So the easy answer is just go to any of these great tools that they're out there, SEMrush, Ahrefs, and just what is the topic? What is your industry? Where are you? And then that seed keyword will take you down a rabbit hole of many other keywords that will help you kind of create that idea. So I'll give you an example. Again, I brought up the example of golf. Okay, what are you in? Are you golf courses? Are you golf classes? Are you in golf equipment that you can go and say golf equipment? Okay, and then golf equipment is going to give you and you put those two keywords in the tool. It's going to give you a bunch of other keywords, and those bunch of keywords will give you more ideas of where to go. But you need to start with a seed, right? And that's going to be, what is the topic? What is the main topic? What is the main purpose of your site, right? So you might have just a handful of keywords at the beginning, but those are your seed keywords, and that will give you the rest of keywords that you need, and will give you all the ideas, and it will snowball from there.
Perfect. So Felix is asking, what do you see for the future of SEO as AI writers become increasingly better content-wise?
Now let's bring the crystal ball. But I'm asked this question many times, and look, I don't pretend to predict the future, but what I do know is that AI is getting better by the day, and what will happen is that we'll be able to create a lot of content, right? But the search engine bar will continue to increase, and it's increasing every day, every quarter, or every month. That bar of quality is increasing. What will happen? Okay, now everybody will have AI, and everybody will be able to produce a lot of content, but then the great content is going to rise to the top. So the expert content is going to rise to the top. I don't think that machines are going to be able to replace the creativity side of humans, right? So what will happen is that we'll get better and better content, right? As we have this tsunami of content that machines are going to facilitate. So I think um, what we'll see is that today people are producing AI aided content is maybe 60-40, 50-50 machine human, or 70 human, 30% machine. So maybe we get that proportion increases where it's 80% machine and 20% human. But I believe personally that there will always be a space for humans to be involved in the content creation process. We'll just create better and better content. We haven't even talked about voice. We haven't even talked about augmented reality. So the opportunities are endless. As we maybe get away just from reading content, we get more and more interactive, immersive content, right? So that we'll have a piece of augmented reality, we'll have a piece of voice, we'll have a video component, and we'll have also a reading component. It's going to be a probably richer content, and machines are just going to make parts of that process easier. They're not going to fully replace it. I don't believe it, but that's just a personal opinion. So I think AI will become more prevalent, and we'll use it more and more, but not only for writing, but just for many things. I've seen it, for creating videos, for creating graphs. But we as humans will, the creative side will stay there.
Great. So we'll take one more question. So Neil asks, how do you recommend going about conducting demographic and psychographic research in order to better identify the target audience for your content creation?
Well, there is great tools out there. There is one. I was fortunate enough to do a webinar with Rand Fishkin a few months ago, and I know probably many of you are familiar with him and his work. So Spark Toro has a really great tool to understand audiences and do that kind of research, demographic and psychographic, right? Heather, did I get it right?
Mhm.
Um, the tool provides information on demographics and what type of content your audience loves. So I would recommend that. If you don't want to use a tool, sometimes things that we do, we just talk to our clients, we interview our clients with no agenda, meaning we interview our clients without any purpose of getting anything in return. We just say, look, we just really want to understand, why do you pick us? Why make you choose us? What are your problems? What are your needs? Like, are we solving your problem? Do you know other people like yourself? What do they think? What are their problems? So I think that's a more, I'm a little bit more old school, but I think not many things replace talking to a person directly and getting to dig deeper into their problems. So, and I know that's not very scalable, but you can pick always a sample. So we do that with our clients. Depending on the product, we pick a meaningful sample and we just get on the phone with them. I'm going to call on a Zoom call and ask him all these questions. Yeah, it's time intensive, but it will give you it will help you find some things that you didn't even know that you wanted to know.
Perfect. Okay, so I have one more question for you. This was a special request. So, long term, is it better to have in-house copywriters or outsource content creation to freelancers?
Like, this is the favorite word of SEOs, right? It depends. But I think there is a space for both. And what the model that we have seen work best is a hybrid model. There's some type of content that, because of the complexity of it, or because how urgent it needs to be, is better to have in-house. So you can just turn around, tell you right here, I need to produce this piece for tomorrow. It's very hard to outsource that way. We can make it work sometimes, but I tell clients, look, if you need something for today, it's going to be very difficult. If you need to have control over it, editorial control over it, is very difficult. But sometimes there are other pieces that you want to produce at a scale. It's good to outsource, okay? Because it's more cost efficient, and you can actually have consistency. This is counterintuitive, because some people think that by having internal writers, you're going to have more consistency. The problem is that after a while, they'll start sounding the same, or they ran out of ideas, or if one of them quits or moves, now your process is disruptive. When you outsource, some shops have designed processes to make sure the quality is consistent for your content. So I think there's space for both. It depends on the complexity of your content, the urgency of it. Is it newsy, or is it more evergreen content? So evergreen content is great for outsourcing. More news stuff, like trendy stuff, viral stuff, is very hard to outsource, because it's it's live all the time, right? So it's very hard to manage an outsource process that way.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, Carlos, we're going to give your voice a rest. We didn't need to bring the Zom out, but thank you for being in the background, for support. Carlos, before we do let you go, my favorite question is, or not question, but tell the people where to find you.
Oh, you can find us, of course, crowdcontent.com. We have lots of great resources there. All the things that we talk about are there in our blog. We have great webinars, so you can find lots of resources, lots of information, and we'll be more than happy to help you with content needs. And personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Carlos Mesa, and Twitter, Carlos J Mesa 1, I think. So yeah, but in our side, on our side is the best way to find us. We're producing these type of webinars monthly. We're going to be doing an SEO site clinic in a month, or within the month. We had Lily Ray just a couple of weeks ago. We'll have her again in November. So just stay tuned, because we're trying to produce helpful content as much as we can.
Awesome. Awesome. A lot of big thanks I see from everybody out there. So Sasha, Robert, Silas, Judy, all of you, thank you so much for being here with us. Carlos, thank you. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you everybody for being here.
Awesome. All right. We'll see everybody next time. Have a good day.